I got my outfit on. I decided to dress up for this today. I'm trying to just get my screens organized for a sec. Hold on real quick. If you're rolling in right now, it's just me out here for a second. I got this sweet prompter, and I got my computer here. But for whatever reason, I can't see everything. So I got to just move some stuff around. This is what it's like, French cuffs. Look at this. Hey, man. Look at this. Holy smokes. Is the Exit 5 team watching this? Look at what people are saying I guess, dress for, like, maybe I need to step my game up. The response to what I'm wearing right now has just been like, whew, electric. What an outfit. Love that tux. You look like an angel. I mean, you look like a judge. French cuffs even. That's not on purpose. Like, no joke. I just took this out of my closet 10 minutes ago. I told him this behind behind stage with everybody, but my daughter saw me in this, and she said she doesn't want me to wear this because I don't look like myself. And I said, well, I guess I got to dress up more then, so you can start to do this. Jasmine says, did AI recommend you dress up? Yes, I just like all of us, I don't make any decisions ever anymore without asking AI what to do exactly. And I wanted to really have a good showing for this webinar, so I decided to put on my tux today. No, but real question, real reason why I'm wearing this. We broke a new record. We have the most people ever registered for one of our webinar, don't call them webinars today. And I said, hey, if we break, I think it was initially 1,500. So if we break 1,500, I'll wear a tux. So I got my tux on, and I'm here, and I'm super excited to do this. We have a packed hour. We got 5 people here that we're going to share their AI recipes, hear what's actually going on. Because look, if you're anything like me, you open LinkedIn and you're just instantly overwhelmed by all the AI changes. You don't know how to separate fact from fiction. So we said, let's put together a session where we bring on actual marketers to showcase how they're actually using AI. And you're going to walk away with that today. But first, we got 5 people hanging out backstage. But producer Allison, can you do me a favor? Can you bring up Benny and Jess, please, real quick? And we're gonna get this thing set off. Jess Cook, what's up? Good to see you. Hi.
Good to see you too.
Benny.
You got Benny and the Jess.
Greetings.
Yeah, yes, Benny and the indeed. Jess. That's nice. So I just like any more compliments about my tux before we get started today. Anything else when this is the only time in my life where people say nice things about me. So I'll take something if you want it.
Stunning. Who are you wearing, Dave?
Who am I wearing? Probably Cole Haan, Michael, I don't know, TJ Maxx, Rack.
So hot right now. Yes. Yeah. Amazing.
Very in.
Yeah. All right. So Benny, I'm going to go to you second, but Jess Cook, real quick, give me an introduction. Who are you? What do you do?
Sure thing. I'm Jess Cook, head of marketing at Vector. This is my first head of marketing role. I have a content background. So very excited to hear these AI content use cases.
I got to tell you, the way that, so follow Jess on LinkedIn. She's been posting awesome stuff. Her and her CEO have a great podcast. You've kind of innovated on the game a little bit with like, you have this like meme style, like instead of posting clips, the way you're doing like the screenshots with the text on there. Like, I don't know what that's from, but I love that style. So go check out Jess Cook. Benny, good to see you. Who are you, sir?
Thanks, Dave. So I'm Benny Bridger. I lead marketing at Walnut, and Walnut is an interactive demo platform for product marketers and demand gen marketers. That is the boilerplate, though. So let me just talk to you real for a minute. Hashtag storytime, that kind of thing. So how many of you live your marketing days and your main CTA is that request a demo or talk to sales button? That's all you got. I've been there and I've lived there for years. And I always long for more, like more than PDFs or the screenshots or the GIFs that I frankly could never figure out. I always wanted to put my product at the centerpiece of our marketing. And with Walnut, that's finally possible. Lets any marketer spin up interactive guided demos in minutes, no product, no engineering, no nothing. All you need is the Chrome extension to build the demo. Your visitors click, explore, teach themselves the product story that normally comes on the first call with sales, if that. You can even see the data on how people are engaging with the demo, where they're dropping off, what's sparking action, throw in a lead form, and you can trace the attribution. This is the cool part for me as a demand gen guy. Trace the attribution for how many meetings that demo's booking and how much pipe it's generating. Most of our teams, most of our customers, they see Walnut pay for itself like within inside three to 4 weeks. And really, it's all about driving higher conversion rates on the website. So many of our customers see 2 to 4 times lift from a conversion rate perspective. And again, the buyers are coming to your discovery calls. They're already primed. They've already seen the product. I really do think seeing is really believing. And by the way, you can even build one with Walnut by simply clicking through your product while narrating with your voice. And if you need help building, our experts can storyboard or even polish a demo for you. And that's not all, right? Other teams can use Walnut too. Sales live demos, CS can train customers. It's one platform that scales company-wide. And so if you're out there and like me, right, you're looking for ways to drive more leads, pipeline for sales, and you want to show your product, think of Walnut. That's walnut.io. And feel free to call me anytime. With that said,
all right, good job.
back to you.
Everybody's mad, and yes, this is an ad. Bam, that was an ad. You've listened to podcasts, you hear ads. You listen to videos, you hear ads. You go to Disney Plus. I got the $11 version. It's an ad. Walnut sponsored this. We gave Benny the opportunity to give a plug to Walnut. Thank you. Good job. Check them out. Now you heard of it. Back to my tux for a second. Man, I feel nice in this. All right. Well, shout out to Benny and the Walnut team for sponsoring this. They're also going to be our presenting sponsor of Drive, which is coming up in a month and a half. We're at the stage where we're printing swag, sending boxes to my house. I'm excited. But first, we're going to do this session today. So we got 5 marketers here today, and we're going to go fast. Everybody's going to come up, present for 5 minutes, share what they're doing. We have after each presenter goes, we're going to be in the chat asking questions. I think we'll have time to, Allison, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we'll have time to ask questions about specific, if people want to hop in, we'll see how it's going to go really fast, but we can plug in questions. We got the judges. That's us, the 3 of us. We're going to pick a winner at the end. We're going to hook somebody up with a pair of the Meta Ray-Bans, which I bought. I'm a sucker. We started talking about Meta Ray-Bans as part of doing this webinar. I got all the ads for them. I bought me a pair. They're amazing. They are so fun to wear. I have them over there. The only issue is I didn't look at the styles, and I look like Kris Jenner when I wear them, and so I got to get a different style of them. And so there's plenty. But anyway, it's a super fun prize, super fun to be here. So here we go. All right, let's bring up Jillian. We got our first AI use case, and we're off to the races here with Exit 5 and Walnut and the homie Jess Cook. Hey, Jillian.
Hello, sharks.
Yeah, let's go.
Can I ask for money? That's what I thought I could do with Dave in the suit. All right, let me share my screen here really quickly. I'll introduce myself while I am pulling up the right thing here, hopefully. So I'm Jillian Hofer, Senior Content Marketing Manager over at User Evidence. Cool, guys. This is a good lineup today, and I probably am the least technical of all use cases here. So hopefully this should be a fun one, and I'll start you off light. But we have a lot of content marketers in the room, myself included. Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized thank you for, you guys don't even know, we're already personally victimized. Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by putting out an awesome, huge, great piece of pillar content. And then your leadership team is like, great, now repurpose this for 6 to 12 months. Thank you. Goodbye. That's our whole content strategy. We've all been there. So what I did when I came into User Evidence, we had this awesome report that was fueled by original research. We did a survey of over 600 B2B marketers, sellers, and buyers about the gap that is within the customer evidence sphere of what customer proof do buyers actually care about? And then marketers and sellers, what are they actually producing? And does it line up with that? Great findings that really drove a lot of our POV in the marketplace. And that report, I was like, okay, now we're going to repurpose this. Instead of thinking of repurposing as big piece of content into just little 5 blog posts and 3 social posts and all the things like that, I was like, let's think of this more as an injection of this really rich, awesome data that we have from this report into most every piece of content that we're going to put out in the next 6 to 9 months. So that's exactly what this is. So I created this little content concierge GPT that I'm going to demo for you guys today. So essentially what I trained this little guy to do is I said, hey, you're going to help recommend relevant stats and quotes from this research report that I can insert in different pieces of content that I'm working on as part of our overall strategy. So big example, obviously, we're marketers. We're out here rocking blog posts all the time. So when I'm in the middle of writing a blog post, I will come in here and after I'm 90% done with the content, I'll come in here and say, hey, I feel like I can probably insert a stat from this in here, but let this guy be my expert. So I say, pitch me 3 different stats from the report that I could relevantly add to this blog post to support the narrative. And then additionally, recommend exactly how I work that stat into this paragraph and, copy the kind of framing and the voice that's already used in here. And then look at that. It's going to spit out 3 different ways for me to do that. And if I want to, if I'm feeling brave, if it does a good job of copying the tone, I can just copy and paste it in there and it tells me exactly where to put it. But I like asking for multiple options here just so I can kind of curate myself and figure out which one I feel like fits their narrative best. So that is number 1. And then I'm going to reset this guy for my next one because I don't want to hallucinate on me because that would be embarrassing. And we hate when that happens. So another thing that I'm in charge of here at User Evidence is that I help curate our thought leadership content for our, C-suite and our founder team, all the good founder-led content stuff that's out there. So when I'm creating these kind of like prompts and V1 of LinkedIn posts for our thought leaders, I come here a lot because I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could pull a quote from a person that we had quoted in this report that we could then tag that person in the post and call back to the report. So in the evidence gap, we had about 12 great industry thought leaders that sounded off on the findings from the report, and we quoted them in the report. So this is the way that I'll come in here and I'll have written the post for the person at the company, the V1, and I'll say, hey, find me a quote from a person in the report that I can add to this thought leadership post as supporting evidence that whatever topic I'm trying to do. This time it was about how references aren't always the most powerful form of customer evidence out there. So then here you go. It pulls from the report a quote that says, hey, we've seen similar things when asking sellers how often they refer to customer reference. Pretty much no one offers it proactively. Great. We can pull that in, or I can ask it to find another one for me. So great way to just pull some of those quotes out because we have all these rich, great people who are already trusted. I can tell, my founder, whoever, to tag the person in the post. Great way for us to just get that reach out there even more. And then last thing, just kind of a general, like I treat it as almost like a persona expert of like, obviously I'm in the mindset of a marketer, a content marketer of like what reports from this what stats from this report stand out to me as a content marketer aren't necessarily what's going to be powerful for a different persona. So if I'm working on an email for sales persona, for example, I can come in here and say, okay, if I want to work some sort of stat or hook from the report into this email, hey, what are the 3 most shocking stats from this report for a sales leader? And it's going to pull them, help me just get in that mindset, help me figure out how to frame it up to that persona based on kind of what it knows about it. So I have 1 more minute, so I will give you a peek behind the hood of this thing so you can see how it was built and that I am not a technical person and it's so easy that anyone could do it, which means I could do it. So literally, I just came in here, created a custom GPT. I said, hey, the instructions of this is you are an expert at interpreting and advising on the use of stats and quotes from this research report. You're going to assist me by inserting those stats in different ways into content that I prompt you to. And then you will only base your recommendations, this is important, directly on the information contained within this report, making sure that it comes from the source material. I don't want it pulling things from other places on the web. I don't want it hallucinating. I don't want it doing any of that. So I upload the report and the findings itself here into the knowledge base. And then this little guy right here, this is the trick. This guy is usually checked. I take web search off of there because I don't want it going anywhere except for this report. And that is how I do it. And I have 9 seconds left. I could do a dance if you wanted me to.
Yeah, that was great. Oh my goodness.
Awesome. So good.
Let's go.
Thank you, everyone. What questions do you have for me? I probably won't be able to answer them.
I would love to know, like, because I'm sure you've worked before this little guy, which you called him, on trying to extend the life of your content. Like, if you could give it like a multiplier, what would you say is kind of the multiplier of how much longer you were able to use the content from that report versus what you had done before?
Oh, the interesting thing about this, Jess, is that I think it's like a long tail in both directions. So the way that we were able to use this is instead of feeling like the narrative got really stale because we were repurposing the narrative over and over again, instead we had these pieces of content that we were creating that are genuinely helpful to our audience that I then was just like injecting, like I said, these stats into over the course of, so this report came out in September of last year. So we're on month 9, 10 of it. We're still continuing to work it into content that we do today. So that's the long tail of it on this end. But then retroactively too, like I take emails that we've already created that are in nurture drips, that are in, if we've got a kind of a responder for something, if we have a newsletter that's already out there, we have blog posts that were already in our archive that are still evergreen. We've gone back in and uploaded the whole thing to this bot saying, hey, we now have this data. Where's a good place to insert it in here? And it's been huge for SEO and just getting people back to the report and getting back to the page, because as we know, that kind of stuff lives forever. And we often as marketers forget the things we've built.
Love it. Amazing.
Go ahead,
Jillian,
Benny.
are you also like, if you're doing, let's say you do another report, and maybe again, it's not an annual one, so it's not an updated version of this one, but it's a different report. Would you add that report? Would you upload that to the same GPT and kind of have it be a report repository so you can pull things depending on what you're doing? Or would you set up a separate GPT just for that other report, that new report?
Personally, Benny. So we actually did. We had another separate report with different data, different hypotheses, all the things that came out earlier this year that I put in a completely separate GPT. The reason for that is like these tools still, I don't quite trust them to handle like a whole aggregate of our content. I think I've pushed the boundaries of it in some places where I've been like, ooh, maybe I can upload every piece of content we've ever done to this GPT. And then this can just become our repository of everything. That to me, like, is a recipe for it hallucinating and giving bad info and confusing things. So I've tried to personally keep them separate. Would love to see in the chat, in the comments, if anyone's done that successfully, because I love the idea of like having all of our original data, if it is all aligned to our brand POV and the problems we're solving, like having that all in one repository, like that's a secret weapon right there.
Makes sense.
So many points for your energy and your vibe. So that's big. That's big news. Take that.
Thank
take
you.
Back
I
to
brought the
office for you.
energy.
Immaculate vibes. Love it.
What I loved about this is like, I think there's a lot of my read on, I'm an optimist with a lot of this AI stuff, but my read on it is like, there is a lot of kind of like existential threat or doubt, or like, oh, cool. Like you're just going to write a bunch of like kind of shitty AI content and AI slop, and that's going to be your marketing. And like, but then when I see stuff like this, I'm like, this is what I think people don't see enough of, which is like, we're not talking about replacing anybody's job. We're not talking about like, doing AI SDR outreach and spamming thousands of people crap. Like this is literally like an AI. I heard Dharmesh talk about this just this week. Like this is your intern with a PhD running alongside you as you do your content thing to make you better in ways that like you wouldn't been able to do before. And so I love examples like this. Like I'm going to be long marketing. That's kind of, just got to say that. And I think that it's going to be people like you who know how to use these tools to make the content motion better. I think that's what the future is going to look like. So I really like this. Good job. And chat is the best bar for this stuff. And I think you should go back and read what people are saying during your thing after this, because it was really good.
I'm not going to lie, during Benny's wonderful pitch, I got very scared of the chat. So I did not look at all during that. So
it's fine. The
let's
chat
all
is
be
a
nice,
bunch of haters.
everyone.
Like literally,
be nice
we all work in
chat.
marketing. Every podcast has an ad. It is completely fine.
Exactly.
People were caught
Benny,
off
I
guard.
loved it.
I should have said something first. I should have said like, hey, just a reminder, this session is sponsored by Walnut. Benny's going to give a quick little Walnut pitch, but because we didn't do that, people chat. Everyone is holier than thou. The kettle is black, whatever, all the things. That's what we all do in marketing. That is so funny. That is literally the best. Someone commented like, all these marketers are mad about an ad. That's literally our job, is to sell things. So, all right, folks, you listening home all around the world, please rate Jillian's AI use case on a scale of 1 to 5, or maybe ask your GPT to do it. So, it's nice. I'm a bad rater, real bad rater. Cause like, I want to give Jillian like a good one, cause I really like it, but I haven't seen the whole field yet. You know what I mean? Like,
if it makes you feel better, Dave, I am scared of the meta glasses, so I'm not tied to this. I just wanted to come hang.
What could go wrong? You don't want to wear glasses, just record everything you do all day. It's fine.
I'm scared, Dave.
My wife was like, "Are you recording this right? Turn that off." I'm like, oh, "Sorry."
My toddler would get a hold of them, and the things that we would see would be
they'd last 4 minutes.
Oh.
All right, Jillian, good job. Snaps for you. See you
Thanks,
later.
guys. Appreciate it. It was fun.
Good job. Okay, and then at the end, we're going to ask everyone to pick an overall winner. So the votes there are just for fun. Okay, who's check my run a show here. We got Jake. Jake is up, and Jake's going to talk about using Meshy to create 3D renderings of characters and then animating them with VO3. Talk about a change of pace. Love that, Jake. I know Jake. Jake's been heavy in my LinkedIn comments recently. Good to see you here, Jake. You got the mic, and let's do it. Jake heaps good.
Sweet.
Someone says in the
Thanks
chat.
so much. Thanks, Dave. And also, Jillian, first of all, killed it. While you were going, I got a text from my boss saying, "Hey, don't screw this up." So, good job. Way to put the pressure on.
Good that fun
Thanks,
thing.
Dave.
The funny part is your boss is actually an AI agent. It's not a human.
Yep, something like
All right.
that.
You got the mic.
He does
Go
love
ahead.
AI. Sweet. Thanks, Dave. So, just a little bit of background. I'm over here at Domo, and my entire job is to figure out how to implement AI into the marketing department. So I'm actually not necessarily a content marketer. My background's actually in performance marketing and then AI marketing, vibe marketing, as Dave calls it, right? So I'm honestly not a content marketer, but my job has kind of been to see how we can kind of take this fluff that we're seeing online. We're seeing a lot of this fluff of random things that people can do using AI and kind of make it into actionable things for our team. Right. And so this is one that I saw where we can take something that should be fluff and then actually use it in our day-to-day life. Right. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to share my screen. If it'll let me. Hope it's going to make me open system settings. Let's see here. So we're going to go ahead and share here first. So here we have this little guy. So this is a little animation character that our design team came up with, right? And so we have him and we use him on little designs and stuff like that, but we want to be able to use it for more. So what we did is we went and we put it into Meshy, which is a AI software where we can create AI or 3D images from this, right? So here we started out with a bunch of different things. We can choose one, kind of go into and make its way up into where we really want it to be. Right, so now we have, let's see if this guy's going to decide to load. Now we have our 3D rendering of our little animation. Right, so here we can even go and animate them in here. We can make them do a bunch of different things. But what I did is I then go and I took screenshots of this from the different angles so that we could get different things and get a full body of this. And then I actually put that into VO3 where now all I said was I uploaded these images right down here from the Meshy, and I went and I put them into VO3 to then go and animate it. Right, so now we have our little robot. He's waving his arms. We can make him do a bunch of different things here. He's cheering a little bit more. And then you can see, obviously, it's going to take a little bit of trial and error. But now what we can do is we can take these clips and go remove the background, put them into videos. So this sharing this. There we go. So here you can see him waving his arms, stuff like that. Get a bunch of different clips that we can then go and put into different use cases, different videos. So different use case that we're going to use with this is if we go back to Meshy, we can see here we have this little rooster, right? And so this is kind of like our unofficial Domo mascot is this rooster. And so now here we can go and do the same thing with our mascot or whatever your mascot is to be able to use that inside of videos, to use that inside of different assets, have them moving around, have them doing a bunch of different things, right? Here's it dancing. Where you can go and use these in different assets. If you have experience with Blender, it would make it a lot easier. I don't personally, again, I'm not the most technical person, but yeah, you can do a bunch of different things here to then go and use and kind of help promote that creativity of what you can do with these different things. So kind of just the flow of going from here, going from the actual image to then going to Meshy to then 3D animate it to then going to VO to be able to make it do a bunch of different things, make it do exactly what you want it to be able to use inside your content. Kind of just trying to think outside the box, really make it so that we can take it and so make it so that our content is actually being made using AI, right? There's a lot of things into like to help us create content and to help promote the creativity. But I found that a lot of the biggest things that the biggest impacts is how can we actually create content using AI? And that's where something like VO3 has really blown up, Runway has really blown up, is because it can actually create the content for you. And so that's kind of the thought process behind this. And I saw a question in the chat about where we're integrating this. So main thing is we're using this with putting it into other videos that we have going on. We're putting it into other use cases that we're doing. We have big shows that we go on, a bunch of different things there where we're then going and putting these in with other content assets to be able to maximize what we're doing with there, to make them as creative and as on brand as possible, and making them as easy as possible so we don't have to spend that time doing those.
Oh, will you build on Sylvia's question in the chat? +1 to Amanda's question. How does it get from Meshy to VO again?
So I don't have experience with Blender. If you have experience with Blender, I'm sure you could put it into Blender and then export it as an MP4 or something along those lines. But what I do is I just actually take the 3D rendering, take screenshots of it, upload those as ingredients into VO3, and then use that to be able to do it. So taking this, VO3 as in Google DeepMind, Google's version of their AI.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the screenshots to be able to get the different angles where the 3D imaging can help us get the different angles. So then that way VO can have a more complete picture of what I'm actually trying to create, rather than me trying to describe it using a prompt.
And is so okay. So this is people love this, by the way. It's cute. It's cool. Past version would be like if you wanted to create an animated character like this, you'd have to have somebody on the team that would know how to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
so,
and then they would have to go and animate it and do all that kind of stuff, and it would take weeks.
I'm just trying to narrate. Like, there's some confusion in the chat. I'm trying to narrate, like, basically what Jake showed is not like, here's this little robot that we made for a campaign. He's basically saying like, hey, look, and correct me if I'm wrong. Hey, look, here is what's possible with just being able to use these AI tools and write prompts and animate a video that I'm not an animator, but look what I just made. And now we can use this in our marketing. Is that the kind of translation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a +1 here, Jake.
Jess.
This is something we're doing at Vector. Our mascot is a ghost. Our kind of deal is we're contact-based marketing. We get the ghosts out of your funnel, so you can actually see who is engaging with your content, who's showing intent. So
love that.
So I think we're going to see a rise in B2B mascots for this reason. They're a really nice shorthand for the problem you solve. And now with AI tools, you don't have to hire someone to come in and draw all of these things for you and animate all of these things. You can do exactly what Jake just showed you. We use a similar tool. I'm working right now on that tool to get a bunch of different poses of our little ghosties for some ads. We use them in video. We use them on the website. There's tons of applications. And so I love this. I love any way that we can get, more fun into B2B advertising.
Good +1, Jess. And Benny, I'll kick it to you in a sec. But I also think there's a cool play there with like, this is what maybe makes AI work. I think when you're using AI graphics and AI stuff, if you're using it to trick people and you have the AI version of your company, it feels weird. But when it's like separated as like, no, this is our mascot and we're communicating through our mascot and here's this little robot, like, I do think it works. And I'm actually very surprised how overwhelmingly positive the chat was during this.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
Kind of giving a little +1 to that, little comment to that as well, Dave, is a lot of the things nowadays is a lot of people are looking for talking to a person, talking to a mascot, that kind of thing, rather than talking to a company. So kind of giving a little ode to that, to be able to say, hey, this is our mascot. Yeah. This is who you're talking, or this is kind of like the face of the company, and being able to kind of play off that rather than just being a faceless company that has no meaning, no kind of identity, I guess you could say.
Just cutting to a board meeting where you're showing like the CFO the results of the A/B test of when the mascot farts on screen or not. Like he hops across and goes like,
yep.
And no, this one converts much higher. All right, yeah. Benny, what do you got to say, sir?
I'm just like in awe of this because I don't think I've ever even thought of this notion of mascots, and it's amazing to see you do it. And it's representative of how I feel about AI overall, in which sometimes it just feels so empowering to see the capabilities that these tools have, and not how easy it is per se, but how possible it is for us marketers to go and do these things, right? Because for me, I wouldn't even imagine where I would have started trying to create a mascot, trying to do any of this stuff. So it's just amazing to see this. So I loved it. Like, my mind was blown. I thought I was living in the future, honestly.
Love that. Also, real quick, I saw a comment in the chat talking about how long this took me. This whole process took me maybe 10 minutes. So going from just having the PNG to having the VO of it actually animated, moving, doing all those kind of things, that took me about 10 minutes.
Love that. VO3, we could go in this whole other rant, but like I've seen both camps of some people don't love the VO stuff. I think that what's fun is it gives marketers the ability. By the way, rate this while I rant. It's my company. I'm going to rant for a second. But I think what's so cool about the VO3 stuff is like, yes, I'm not a video creator, but I think the opportunity is going to be like, are you funny? Are you creative? Can you write the right script and prompts and whatever? And then you're going to use that. Like the variable for success, as I love Gary Vee's quote on this, is still going to be creativity. Like how are we prompting these things? What are we doing here? Like your funny friend is still going to be able to write a better thing than some generic person. So I thought this was great. Great example. And so different. The two of you right out the gate, totally different. Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Good job, Jake.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
All right. Next up on today's session, we have Jessica, who take us back to a different way. Now, completely different company, completely different industry. She has an ROI calculator for construction tech sales teams. So we've had a GPT survey, a little mascot animated with AI. Now we have this ROI calculator. Jessica, you have entered the chat.
Hello. Hi. Yes, thank you for that intro. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica. I'm a fractional growth marketing leader here in the B2B SaaS space. As you've heard, I built this ROI calculator on Lovable. So that's what you're looking at right now. And I'm sure you've probably heard of Lovable by now. I think I just read today they hit 100 million ARR in 8 months, which is literally faster, I think, than OpenAI. So Lovable is it's basically a no-code AI app builder, and it turns a prompt into a working web app or a website. So you probably heard of it as prompt coding or vibe coding. So I'll basically describe like an input, I'll use a prompt, and just like you would with ChatGPT, you essentially have like a working live website or tool output immediately. So you're not waiting, you're not having to put in like a dev ticket, no sprints anymore. So I personally have built tools like this in the past. I would have to work through our development teams, our design teams. It would be very expensive and it would take literally months to build. So I think that was the funnest part for me. I was saying this earlier, it's kind of like re-energized me about doing marketing and just kind of bringing that creativity back. It's actually really fun to use. Highly recommend it. So I built this for a safety construction software brand. So essentially this calculator kind of helps prospects to estimate their current safety related costs, like how much essentially they're losing in money every year, and then the potential savings they would have from using, this safety and compliance software platform. So with the sales process, they had some deal stalling. There's like lack of urgency. They really wanted a way to be able to build a business case and really quickly kind of get those metrics in like Medic. And they really wanted something like this for years. I think they had an ROI spreadsheet, like it was living in a spreadsheet. It wasn't really being used, wasn't really being sent anywhere. So I built this simple 3-step calculator. Essentially, it shows their cash leak today in their current state. It then models a 30 to 60% efficiency gain. Those are the numbers from my construction software brand. Those are their efficiency gains. And then at the end, you get a downloadable PDF, which is stakeholder ready. The prospect champion can kind of bring that internally to their CFO where they could really see these numbers. So it's currently being used by AEs in the sales process, and it's being repurposed for marketing. I know that right now they're at one of their largest events in safety, like a conference, and they've got this pulled up on a screen at their booth, which is pretty cool. So here's what it looks like. You can see what is your safety program costing you? You can see my prompt here to the left. And I'll just walk you through it really quickly because it's literally takes less than 3 minutes, and AEs are actually doing this live on discovery calls. So then you would put in like your name. These are numbers in here. Here's step 2 of 3. I'm going quick, 5 minutes, but essentially, I think one of the main kind of call outs here is this helpful text. With ROI calculators, you don't want to overinflate things. I used industry benchmarks. I think a lot of times people may not know these numbers off the bat. So if you're thinking about doing something like this, maybe put some numbers in there, put some industry benchmarks so that someone can kind of see. There's also transparency in how this is being calculated. So here you could see like the annual incident rate. Again, I put here this helpful text so you could see kind of what the industry average is if you don't know. And then this is the last step. And it's saying essentially here, we're going to calculate your total safety program costs and show you the savings. And here's what it looks like. And this is what the PDF export looks like as well. So you could code this also to look in the red or in the blue if it's positive. So obviously these are costs that that their business is losing every year by not implementing software and making their safety programs more efficient. So when they see these hard numbers as, wow, I'm losing possibly $200K a year, given our current program, given our incident rates, given all this data I just put in here. But if I implement a solution here, I could be saving, 50 to 100K. It kind of helps to offset the cost of a software when it feels like just another additional cost. And you could download the report. Again, I also wanted to add transparency in the calculations because I feel like sometimes there's a lot of fluff with some of these calculators. It's like, this is how this was calculated. These are the metrics that we use. It's really clear. So some tips here too. I'm not sure how much time I have left. I can't tell, but
12 seconds. 10, 9, no,
12 seconds.
Go ahead.
Oh, like, oh my God. So I was just going to give some tips here, but like Jillian's custom GPT, I think that would really help with creating like a prompt custom GPT to use for Lovable. I put a lot of my prompts in GPT first or Claude, which is great with coding, to then put in here to Lovable. What's cool is this just came out recently, which is like an edit. I can edit right here through Lovable when I chat with Lovable. If I don't want to prompt it necessarily, because you use a credit every time you prompt, you could just chat with it first. Like, what are you going to make me? This is what I want. And then it'll tell you how it's going to implement the plan. And then you implement the plan and then you could hit go. So as you can see, I went back and forth with it quite a few times. This was actually one of the first things I ever built with Lovable. And I didn't this was my first initial prompt here. Like, hey, I want this ROI calculator. This should help safety directors, blah, blah, blah. Here's the math. Here's the logic. Here's how it should be calculated. And then I didn't like the format. I wanted it to be like a step-by-step form. So I re-prompted it to say, hey, show me blah, blah, blah. This is what I want it to look like. If you actually want my full prompt, just DM me on LinkedIn. I'll send you exactly what I sent. But essentially, that's how it works. Am I good on time?
Can I just... Everybody's so happy in the chat right now.
Really? Oh, yeah, I didn't see. Okay,
great.
I'm going to stop sharing.
After. Yeah, I said
okay.
RIP to your DMs on LinkedIn after this. But Benny, you said kick us off. Let's go around the horn. We'll go Benny, Jess, and then I'll go last.
Yeah, so awesome stuff. And I feel like every time I've tried to build something similar to this in Claude, things just don't go right. But question though, so yeah, how did you find the debugging process, going back and forth, like somebody noted this in the chat, right? Because, it doesn't get it right the first time. How did you manage that? Did you go through a few iterations? Is this version 8 and you have, version 1 through 7 just didn't work? Just talk about that.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? It's probably I've gotten better. So I've gotten better. My prompting is better. You have a custom prompt GPT. So that makes everything better. But this was again, one of the first things I built. So I did, but I was also just kind of blown away. And that was the feedback I got too, by the way, from this client. The director of sales was like, what? Are you aren't you a marketer? Are you an engineer? If you know the back end logic of what it takes to make one of these things, it was actually surprisingly amazing what it initially came up with the prompt that I gave it. And then we did go back and forth. I didn't have to do any major debugging for a tool like this. I've worked on other tools where I just wanted to do a simple authorization flow of just send an email. And that took me 7 hours of debugging. But Lovable is even from the time I first used it a few months ago to now, it's already gotten better since then. So for this experience, it wasn't bad at all.
Jess, Cook.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I have so many questions, but I think the one that may be helpful to most people is, I've tried to build calculators like this before, but not being the expert on, cybersecurity or whatever kind of industry I'm working in. Like, how did you gather the information to like know what you needed in this calculator first?
Such a good question. I mean, I think that's where you have to really understand the industry, and the your client or your organization. I think if you're in-house, that's just going to be like second nature for a marketer, and you'll be able to do it. Maybe talk to sales and get some feedback on it, because initially my first round, I got some feedback on. I don't know if people will know how much an injury costs them. Like, if somebody gets injured on a construction job site, it's like $45,000 that it costs the construction company. I don't know if that's like common knowledge. So that gave me the idea of like, ooh, you know what? Maybe these like helpful text inputs in here, because maybe people don't know. But hey, here's the industry average, around 30 to 50K. And if we had 3 injuries this year, boom, like the software just paid for itself. So it's like they get to see that visual. But that is the key, what you just said, just to making this actually valuable to somebody, is having those industry insights. So I would work with sales, marketing, and internal team. And then I think once they start to see those kind of first iterations, they'll probably have that feedback for you that you could quickly implement.
How would you rate your like previous coding skills? Like, a bunch of questions in the chat are like, hey, obviously the lovable pitch is like you don't need to code at all. But then I see some things it's like vibe coding, you can get like half of the way there and then you end up getting stuck. Pat is in the chat saying, as someone who is code illiterate, how difficult is vibe coding something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last thing I coded in my life was my MySpace website in middle school. So I'm not a coder.
Shout out to the top 8. Shout out to the top 8.
Top 8, yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, that was it. That was the last time I coded. So that's what was crazy about this. Like, I think it also depends on the thing you're trying to make. If you're trying to build like a software from scratch, which I'm also doing, that's when I've run into like, okay, we've got this back-end connection, Supabase, and maybe you will need some customization. But I've heard Lovable's actually creating their own back-end now. So I have no coding experience. And if you're making something like this, I think if you have the basic tech understanding, and obviously I'm educating myself on it now, more and more, just so I can understand the language better. But yeah, I think you could make something like this as a marketer.
All right. My team has told me I'm not allowed to talk right now, so just vote. I'll talk to you later. You did great.
Bravo. That was excellent.
Yeah, really good. Perfect example of cutting through the fluff of like, hey, I'm actually doing this. And you mentioned something important there, which is like a lot of the time we marketers build these ROI calculators and it's literally just like a simple thing to make our tool look like always the winner.
Yes. Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah. So that was great. All right.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you in a little bit.
See ya.
All right. Let's see. The man Oogie is next. Where is he? Bring him out. Bring him out.
Hey, guys. What's up? Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let me quickly pull out my screen. Share screen. I think this is it. Okay, yes, here we are. Okay, so hi, guys. I'm Oogie. I'm running Content Monk, which is like a content marketing agency for B2B software companies. And as you can assume, we are creating a shit ton of content every single month, like for a lot of different clients. And what I'm going to show you today is one very simple and yet very effective AI workflow that's basically the backbone of like many content operations that we're running. So basically, there are 2 parts of this workflow. The first part is collecting data from different websites and online sources. And the second part is interacting with all of these data. And the reason why I chose this workflow to show you is that it has many different use cases. Like, you can use it to monitor your competitors to see what content they're publishing. You can use it to get news from industry-related news, trending news, real-time information about your customers. You can use it to get content ideas. You can use it to get expert insights, like literally for whatever you want. The use case that I'm going to walk you through now is something that I believe is like familiar for many of us. It's basically identifying really expert level content from the industry experts, right? So what we have right here, the first part, like collecting information, is we basically have a simple Google Sheet with a list of websites that we want to monitor and their RSS feeds, right? And then this flow is automatically triggered every 15 minutes. It goes through every RSS field and tells us if there are new articles published or not. If they are, AI checks for the relevance to see if those articles are relevant to us. If they are relevant to us, we are using Gina AI to basically like get the entire content from every single article. Once we get the content, we are using ChatGPT to summarize all of this data and content and sends us a message in Slack. That's literally it. Simple as that. And it automatically runs every 15 minutes. Now goes the second part, which is basically interacting with this content. And as I said, you can use it for many different things. So we are basically using this content from other websites to feed our custom-made GPTs or custom-made applications, right? For example, what we have over here is a bot basically that's trained on all of those experts' insights about marketing, for example, in this case, right? And by the way, this is a free community product that you can use at the b2bvault.com. Basically, you can interact with this data, go through different, knowledge-based articles that you collected from other websites, see what experts are doing. You can ask and see how different experts would, approach certain problems. You can see what are the new trends, interact with all of that content that you get from other sources. And you can also do more creative work, right? In another use case, for example, we work with one client from the insurance space. This is another custom GPT that we made. And in this particular case, for example, we are collecting news from insurance-related publications in the United States. And we are getting all the relevant insurance news. And what we can do, for example, right now is we can go to our custom-made GPT that's trained on all of those news and asking, for example, hey, what are the new trendy news right now that are fit for ourselves and that we can use for our unique angles and point of views and write content about those news that are relevant to our target audience, right? And as you can see, for example, over here, you can get the news and the angles that you can take, and this way get and create really content that stands out. Other use cases that you can do, for example, is you can have this entire flow monitoring your own website and feeding the custom GPT that you made and with your own content. So then you can interact with that content and you will have a custom GPT that's already trained on your voice that will be 10 times more powerful for writing articles than the ordinary ChatGPT, right? And you can also like see what are the new, topics that you can write, how different topics can interact with different articles that you already wrote, and so on. So there are literally many possibilities out of this. Time's almost up. If anyone wants this, feel free to shoot me a message here in Exit 5 or on LinkedIn, and I will just send you the JSON file of this N8N workflow so you can get it up and running in like 5 minutes. That's basically it.
One question in the chat: how does it determine relevancy?
Yeah, so it's basically when we go back. So yeah, it's basically an AI analyzing. When we go over here, and we basically have a prompt. In this case, give me all articles that speak about and that are related to artificial intelligence, AI, marketing operations, or like whatever it is. You choose the topics.
Jess, kick us off.
I'm blown away by this because I think there's so many applications.
Yeah.
I'm curious because my brain always works better when I have like a great example of like how have you used this that's been really impactful?
Well, as I said, we are using it like for many different things, like to get content ideas, to see what clients, competitors are doing, publishing, to educate ourselves and our team. So for example, that the B2B Vault website, like when we go to LinkedIn right now, all we see is basically AI generated crap and, posts recycling the same info over and over again. And basically like insights from Dave or the other people got buried. So we built this for ourselves first. So our team can get, up to date with all the new marketing advice, expert level insights, and so on. And yeah, as I said, for creating unique content, getting unique angles, just also knowing what's happening in the market at the end of the day. Because, sometimes creating content that's real time, relevant today is 10 times more powerful than creating content optimized for some, keyword that you found in Ahrefs, right? So yes, as I said, many different use cases.
Yeah. Does it get overwhelming at all, or is there a lot of noise, or do you feel like it's a really well curated list of information?
It depends on the websites that you choose, right?
Okay.
And on the things that you want to monitor, right? So for example, for the insurance news example that I just said, we are feeding everything that we get to these custom GPTs, right? Because we really want all real-time data. For the B2B Vault thing and like marketing insights, we also have we are receiving notifications whenever something new from the people we trust gets published, but we also have a really high curated, curation process, because we don't want to have all the garbage, training us and our team or you or someone else, on how to do marketing. So yes, it really depends on what you choose to monitor, and if those websites are credible enough.
Mr. Benny B, head of marketing at Walnut. What's your reaction to this, sir?
I love this. I get this feeling all the time when I'm on LinkedIn and I see someone post a screenshot of a system like this, and then I go back to GPT and I'm like, shit, I am not even close to building something of this magnitude. It's super impressive. I think for me, I'm always looking at these types of systems, right? And I'm wondering, how long does it take to build something like this? Now, I know you're an expert in this area, so clearly this is something you understand inherently, but was this weeks long? Was this months? Did you start this last year? How far along has this come over time?
Well, the thing with AI is, and I'm telling this to anyone, AI is turning everything into a commodity right now. So for example, this particular flow, we built it in 2 hours, 3 hours, with debugging. We have more complicated flows as well that are, getting transcripts from all of our sales calls and then feeding us with recommendations on what could we do better next time, et cetera, et cetera. But this one, for example, it didn't took too long, 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5, with debugging and other stuff. Creating RSS feeds for every website that we want to monitor is something a bit more time consuming, but yeah, you do it once and never do it again. The B2B Vault application, it took us around 3 weeks to create that entire custom-made ChatGPT alternative for marketing. So we basically are investing a lot in AI operations to make us more efficient. We have a guy who is head of development and AI at our company, who is helping us build all those, workflows and processes, who is also 10 times smarter than me at this stuff. But yeah, AI is turning everything into a commodity, and everything is easy and more and quicker to create right now. So yeah, not a lot of time.
Okay. All right. Good job. I don't know what is going on in the chat, but they said, why are we timing some of these and not others? We're timing them all. And someone said the lack of the clock in this section was distracting. I don't know what some of the comments here. I really have no idea where you all get that from. Anyway, let's rate it. Rate it. Can you see what I'm going to rate it? I give it a 5 just for that, that N8N flow, like Benny said. When I see one of those, I'm like, dude, someone's marketing and someone's doing something in the Matrix. Here I am over at ChatGPT. I'm like, what is the weather tomorrow?
Facts.
Yeah, good job. The clock was on my picture. Obviously, nobody could see it because they were distracted. All right, we got one more to go. Oogie, good job. I'll come on your podcast. I'll go on your podcast regardless of this. I promise. All right, Anton, let's bring us up. Here we go. We got 8 minutes. Anton's here. He's got something about buyer briefs, understanding economic trends for sales enablement. Boom, send it. Let's go.
Hey, everybody. I get to go last, so I was sitting backstage nervous while everyone else was just chilling after they got their presentation out of the way, but here we go. So let me first share my screen while I'm getting this going. All right. So here we go. So mine, speaking of just going straight back to ChatGPT, I built this. So I'm a head of content marketing at a company called Corporate Visions. We do sales training and enablement and tech for large enterprise organizations. And we work globally. So we have customers in the US, we have customers in EMEA, we also have customers in APAC, and I might build that on later. But essentially, the marketing team at Corporate Visions is responsible for pipeline. And so part of my responsibility is to make sure that not only creating content and making sure our story threads through all of it, but also making sure that sales knows how to connect their conversations to what we're talking about on the marketing side. So I thought up this little tool just to give sales a reason to reach out to people. I thought that if we could make it hyper relevant to what's going on right now, not just yesterday's trends or a stat from 5 years ago, like we all see floating around, that it might be more relevant to our buyers' world. So what this does is, I'm just gonna click this, and you can see it in action while I talk. But what it does is it first confirms today's date, and then it goes and gives me a rundown of what the current socioeconomic trends happening right now are based on today's date. It goes year-to-date trends. And then we see past 30 days. So it's a little bit more recent. And then we have in the past week. So even more recent. So again, just trying to get this as current as humanly possible. And you can see it gives a source list. What I'm trying to figure out next is, how do we make sure it gives us hyperlinks? Sometimes it'll do that, sometimes it doesn't. But the idea is that all of these are cited sources, and I have it built in. So it's trying its best not to hallucinate. But from here, we have 3 personas: CROs, enablement leaders, product marketing managers. And so I can just say, build me a buyer brief for enablement. And this step will take a predetermined kind of structure of what put together as a buyer brief is what I'm calling it. And it's based on those current trends that it just pulled. And it's targeted for sales enablement leaders and basically what all these things mean for them. So we have market context here, goes a little bit into the external pressures that this role is facing. We have internal pressures that they're facing within their organization, and then how it affects their day-to-day. So really trying to dig into, from the big picture, what are the daily pains, kind of emotional triggers that we can kind of start to hit on. And then what it does is, step 5 here, we have a proprietary message framework that we use for our sellers. It's the why change message for prospects. And then we have why evolve for existing customers. The idea is that for why change, we're challenging the status quo, disrupting their current way of doing business. And we're bringing in the insights that we're pulling from these economic trends into a message that will get their attention. And then for why evolve, it's a little bit different. We're acknowledging their current progress so far, since we are the status quo to them, and then showing them a way to evolve to stay competitive in the market. And again, this creates a short list of source list, I mean. And then I just take this, I put it into a nicely formatted PDF. I've been doing this on a quarterly basis, but I think what the next step is going to be, first of all, how am I on time?
Well, you just wasted 8 seconds asking that. You were doing great though.
Okay,
You're
good.
good. We got you. We got you.
All right, good. Just let me know. I can't see the screen. So
Good.
anyway, so what I think I'm going to do is, just to make this a little bit more useful to our sellers, is give them access directly to this, train them up on it. And then what we can do is, this is a trick I learned the other day. You can actually call up another GPT within this GPT. And so we have like a sales email writer. All
right. Somehow we have two. We got to wrap up.
Okay.
Everyone's mad at me again.
All right. Well, I'll save that if you want to see how that works. I guess just.
All right. And look, we see all of the. This is like we're marketed. We've seen all the comments and feedback. We're going to figure out a way to recap and write this all up. We'll connect with everybody. We'll try to share as much examples as we can. Like we're gonna make the best out of that. So that was awesome. Jess, Benny, questions for Anton before we wrap?
Yeah, I would love to know. One, I think it's amazing, and I can see every single seller using something like that. Super actionable. How? What was kind of the process of training that GPT? Because it looks like there was a decent amount of information that needed to be fed in around the economic situations, but then also the personas. Like, what was the time investment in that?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a time investment. I think the initial run was maybe, I don't know, a couple of hours just testing and trying to get it right. And then over time, I've tried to refine it and test things out. But basically, this is in the custom GPT instructions, we have it pulling from today's date. So it's going out and searching the internet ideally and pulling the information live. And then we have outlined our message frameworks that we want it to follow, the structure that we want it to follow, and then additional context as well. Basically guidelines that it should follow when it's writing all this out. So yeah, I don't know the exact timeline, but a couple hours at first, and then just filling with it here and there over the last few weeks.
Cool. All right, let's throw up our votes for this one, and then we're gonna go and we gotta somehow pick a winner for all of this. Although I think the winner is you all, because the winner is all of us, honestly. And I'll say more about this. Like let's hit this one quick. Cool. All right. So a couple shout outs. We're gonna pick a winner from the judges. We can roll that poll in a second. Anton, great job, man. Thank you. Good to see you. Appreciate your contributions and your efforts.
Yeah,
look, I've been messaging the team the whole time. Like this makes me so happy, because this to me feels like the future of marketing. Like we didn't talk about any like sales and market. So much of the B2B marketing content is like sales and marketing alignment. How do you do it? And it's like, the future is going to be by marketers like the people that we had on here today, right? Like Jillian, like Jake, like Jess, like Oogie, like Anton, who are willing to try new tools, to build things, to move things forward without having to wait for developers and designers and agencies. This is what has me excited. And I don't know, I'm super happy to see that. Just also shout out to Jess and Benny for hanging out with us here today. And then I also want to give a shout out to the Exit 5 team. I know I'm allowed to do that, but like, yeah, I've seen all the comments. Like Allison and behind the scenes and our team put a ton of work into making this happen. And that is why this was awesome. So super happy to seeing this reaction. I think there's a lot more stuff like this that we can do. All right, let's roll it. We got to pick a winner somehow. Do we have a producer, Allison? Do we have a poll that we're going to hit here for the winner? Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. It's very hard to do. It's very hard. You don't know who I voted for. Everybody have their votes in? Yeah. Okay. Looks like our winner. All due respect. We got to do something for all these folks. This is great. Up the budget, Dan. We got to hook these people up. I don't care about the money. Send it out. But our winner is Jessica. Where's she at? Good job. Good job, Miss Jess. Way to go.
Everyone.
Way to
appreciate it.
Shout out to Lovable. They're not getting a cut from this. Send it to Walnut.
Nope, not affiliated at all.
No, I'm just kidding. Great work. Loved it. Super specific, real, relevant. I think it's something that any marketer here can take on. I think out of all of them though, like there's no AI slop. Nobody said like, here's how I'm going to rewrite blog posts with this. We saw real specific stuff, and that was awesome. So I know that all these people are members of our Exit 5 community, and so they'll be in there. If you want to send them a message, hit them up on LinkedIn. We'll find a way to do a follow-up for this. Super positive. I'm super happy. Glad I wore my tux. Benny, thanks to you and the Walnut team for helping us put this together, for giving us those Meta Ray-Bans. I hope you pick out a better version than I got. Those are sweet. Jess Cook, good to see you. Keep rocking it on LinkedIn. We'll see you out there. Go connect with everybody. Send me a message, dave@exit5.com. Oogie says, yeah, I got 100 DMs asking for the flow. That's awesome. This is obviously a self-tied bow. No, this is an AI-generated bow. Good to see you all. Shout out to Walnut. Thanks again. We'll see you all in a month and a half at Drive right here in Burlington, Vermont. Until next time, adios.